What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another post game here on Met Central as the Mets take down the San Francisco Giants late at night here by a final score of 8-1. A weird performance, overall weird game, just because of the fact that one, I did not expect them to have a field day just running on Patrick Bailey, which funny enough, you had guys like Jorge Posada recently. I saw clips of him hyping up the defense that he plays behind the dish. And even on the broadcast, they were touching on it a bit, how he's one of the better defensive catchers in all of Major League Baseball. So I didn't expect them to run a field day on him. I didn't expect them to really do too much damage to Logan Webb, to be completely honest with you. And then with Clay Holmes on the mound, it's like, okay, this guy's Mr. 5 innings at this point. I don't know if you're in a spot to win the game, but I will shut up and not complain one bit because you need to be winning games like this. And the Mets go into San Francisco, take care of business. And now you got to complete the series win here. And whether it's tomorrow, whether it's the third game, I don't care. I want them to just win this series and get out of there. If they do win tomorrow, though, I'm probably going to be begging for a sweep. So I'll just be completely honest with you. Before we jump into everything, though, I know it's late at night here, so there's probably not going to be many people watching live here. But if you are watching live on replay, whatever it is, leave a like if you do enjoy the content. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel, especially if you're Met fans, and turn on your post notifications so you know when we upload or go live here on Met Central. But yeah, just again, definitely a bizarre game. And it started off great. I mean, the offense gets going early, which is something that we've not seen from the top of the order quite quite recently, or in quite a while, I should say. It's been a bit since we've had, just really a tone setter. I guess outside of, I mean, the Brandon Nimmo leadoff home run, but I just mean like more than one guy really contributing and getting those runs, which it came at the cost of getting outs. It was a lot of productive outs there in the first inning. You get a leadoff double from Brandon Nimmo, and then you get a single from Francisco Lindor. He steals a bag, his 17th stolen bag, and then Juan Soto hits into a ground out, which would have been a double play if Francisco Lindor did not steal a bag. So thank goodness he did. That made it 1-0, which gave Pete Alonso an opportunity to hit a sacrifice fly to make it a 2-0 ball game. And unfortunately, though, Clay Holmes just did not have anything in this outing. And I got to be completely honest with you. I I have tried, and I know that I've said this a lot recently, so it's not like I'm breaking news to anyone here about my stance on this. I've tried to give Holmes the benefit of the doubt. I've tried to stay patient with letting him flourish into a starting pitcher, and he very well could be a starting pitcher full time down the road. But there's still this part of me that really would rather them just go out and acquire a starting pitcher by July 31st that could give you multiple innings, and then putting Clay back into the bullpen and let that be your high leverage right-handed arm potentially as it. And I hate to use this phrase because believe me, it drives me insane too, but use that as your trade deadline acquisition, because right now I am just not seeing it with him as a starting pitcher. I got to be honest with you. And just that first inning is another example of why I'm just losing my patience with the Clay Holmes thing, at least for the remainder of the season. And obviously, come October, I don't think he's in this rotation. In my mind, you're starting guys, which it's too early to even talk about this. So I don't even want to sit here and talk about this in July. But if I was to make an early guess right now, it would be Senga's going to start in the playoffs. Peterson has definitely earned a spot over Clay Holmes at this point. You could argue that Montas might make a start because of the fact that he's able to give more volume, and then Sean Manaea. But even then, it's like you want you want another name there. And I know this is kind of shifting to trade deadline talk as I'm talking about it, but it's just nights like tonight where he just has not had it lately at all as a starting pitcher. And Ramos gets a single there, Devers then hits a double, and it's like, oh boy, and it's some hard contact, which the Devers one I'm not that mad about because it's a changeup out of the zone. But then you have the 10 pitch at bat against Adames where he's just nibbling the zone there. And Matt Chapman, then he walks him on just not anything close, gets out of the inning, but just again, we'll talk more about it as I go through the post game because there was other innings where Clay was laboring a lot through this outing. And again, like here's the thing with it. I would have signed up for Clay to go out there and give 5 innings time and time again if the circumstances were different. Because my expectation going into the year is okay, if you get this from Clay Holmes, that's fine because you have Sean Manaea, who is your ace of the rotation. You have Kodai Senga back, which I know there was injury concerns either way going into the year, but my thought was, okay, you have Kodai Senga, you have Sean Manaea, you could get by, and then hopefully Peterson replicates last year. You could get by with Clay Holmes giving you these type of outings. Now it's getting to a point where it's just very frustrating having to ask your bullpen to get 12 outs, and I guess that's where they'd rather acquire a reliever where they could, you know, you get more high leverage guys to use so they don't have to worry about blowing and punting games. I don't know. But either way, I'm getting off topic here. Let's move on to further throughout this game because again, there was just so much that happened here. Like Ronnie Mauricio just not playing a good third base right now either is also absolutely driving me insane because in the third inning there was a play with them, but before that in the top of the third, Francisco Lindor hit a home run to make it a 3-1 game. So this is another game where Francisco Lindor is going off and starting to look like he's getting back on the right track. And to see it against Logan Webb is definitely more of a positive than what we saw against the Angels bullpen. But turns on an inside fastball and gets 20th of the season to make it 3-1. Soto gets a double. They don't add. But then again, the third inning, you get Ramos hits a single. Then you get the double play there. Adames with a double. And then Ronnie Mauricio, just a horrible throw over the first base. But thankfully, Pete bails him out with a really good tag there over at first base. The Mets offense thankfully saved Clay Holmes from getting his outing cut really short because that's where things could have got really tragic. If they did not go off in that fourth inning where you get the bases loaded there, you get 2 singles from Beatty and Alvarez, Mauricio then walks. Taylor hits into a force out, which I thought for sure was a double play off the bat, and I was screaming at the TV at 12 in the morning. But then he ends up stealing a bag because he hit into a force out there, thankfully, which brought in a run. Nimmo ends up getting a single to make it 6-1. He steals second. They couldn't, unfortunately, add a little bit more as Lindor and Soto strike out. But that inning definitely changed the fact that once you got to the fifth inning where Clay Holmes, I had no idea what was going to happen there. But all I knew is that you got to get someone ready for the top of the order. And Mendoza did not. He did not have someone ready for the top of the order. And you know what? I'm not going to critique him for it because of the lead they had. But, and I guess you got to give credit to Mendoza in that regard for sticking to his guns and it working out because it was worth the sacrifice in the end. If this game got closer, would have been more debatable. Maybe if you had to use high leverage arms when you were up by as many runs as you were. But either way, in the fifth inning, he allows 2 singles with no outs. And it's going to unravel here, isn't it? But again, credit to Clay Holmes who battles through, gets a pop out, gets a strikeout, gets another pop out to work through the inning, work through his outing, and get by. Threw his sinker 49 times in this outing. It just, I want to see him mix more of more of the other pitches. Really want that. It just, I don't know. Like, I was going to say, because I just saw this in the chat as well, what you're saying, Matt, that just not enough swing and miss stuff. There's just not enough swing and miss stuff at all from Clay, and that's the problem. And I think a lot of that is, again, you got to see him actually use the other tools that he has in the toolbox because he's just not utilizing his other pitches as much. Like he is so reliant on the sinker to where you're not going to be able to get through more than 5 innings more times than not that way. But either way, the bottom of the sixth inning, um, Brosman comes in. He faced a little bit of trouble. He allowed a single to Yastrzemski. Young-Hoo Lee had a double there, but he ends up working out of it, thankfully. In the seventh inning, Rico Garcia comes in. He gives two good innings, getting three strikeouts. I freaking love Rico Garcia. He cannot go anywhere, and it's got to be Jose Castillo, the corresponding move when Soto's here tomorrow, which yeah, to me, that's a no-brainer. It's not that Jose Castillo is bad. I mean, he had three strikeouts. He allowed a single to Young-Hoo Lee, but I'm liking what I'm seeing from Rico Garcia, and they'll acquire another arm. He'll be gone at some point, but for right now, I am fine with getting as much bullets from Rico Garcia as he could because he's very productive right now. And then in the ninth inning, the Mets added to their offensive lead a little bit. Acuna gets hit by a pitch. Scary moment there as well. Um, Lindor then gets a double. A wild pitch would bring in a run, and then Soto hits a single to make it 8-1, and that would be your final score of the ball game in this one. So yeah, again, nice to see this offense actually pounce on the fact that they had a starting pitcher on the ropes because I have sat here in this chair. I have spoken to this microphone, screamed into this microphone as well that I get so annoyed when this team has a starting pitcher on the ropes and then they just let him get out of it and they don't do enough damage. Different story tonight. And that is yeah, that's something I'm happy about, especially the top of the order coming through because they just were not before. And I'm really happy to see NIMMO have a multi-hit game, and he's got his OPS now up to 800, which Gary was highlighting on the broadcast. Lindor going 3 for 5, which he struck out twice, but I will take the 3 hits. I will take the home run, and it seems like he's getting on the right track. Soto, another multi-hit game. Pete Alonso's the one where I would have liked to have seen him build off of his last performance, and he did not at all. Hopefully he could turn things around though, because they need him still to get out of this slump a little bit. And then the bottom of the order, you got some contributions here and there, but I'm still just looking at the bottom of the order, and like, I'm sorry, I don't want to I don't want to speak too down after a win like this because this was, one of the better performances offensively for the most part, but I just they got to add a batter to the bottom of that order. Like I'm sorry they do. Just my opinion. But either way, um, yeah, keeps them ahead of the Phillies too, who won tonight thanks to the Yankees not giving any sort of help there. Appreciate that. Uh, but yeah, overall, very solid performance, and we'll see how they do tomorrow against Robbie Ray, who's also a good pitcher. And that's really another test where can you build off of this, and can you, manufacture these runs against quality starting pitching. Tomorrow's another huge test, and all I could say is, please, Mendoza, do not shake up the lineup. Do not change the lineup just because Robbie Ray throws with his left hand. That's all I'm asking for. If he's listening, which I don't know. He is active online, so maybe. I don't know. All I know is that just please don't. Just please don't. But I digress. Yeah. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat now. Before I wrap things up for the night, as it is 1:30 in the morning here. Appreciate everyone that is tuning in, whether again if it's live or on replay. At least tomorrow's game's a little bit earlier, 9 o'clock game, so the post game should be around 12, barring it going to extras, and then we're back to the a little bit normal of times, 7 o'clock, and then right back to the late games in San Diego. So at least it's not too bad. Felt good to see the offense step on the neck of a starting pitcher. Finally, they had them on the rope. Yeah, exactly what I said before. 100% was nice to see. I don't want to move Clay to the bullpen to the playoffs if they could add a starter and run a six-man rotation to the playoffs. I'd much rather see Clay as a six starter than Blackburn. That I agree with if they're going with a six-man rotation. Truth be told, though, I would rather see one of the prospects come up and piggyback with Clay Holmes going forward if that's the case. Because I'm just, again, like, I don't know. You're just not getting enough with him volume wise. And his outing would have been cut really short tonight if they didn't have the lead they did. Pete had a very nice defensive game. Credit to him. I hope Stearns keeps Rico Garcia around. I hope the same exact thing. And yeah, Pete did have a great defensive game, especially again with that tag to bail out Ronnie Mauricio, who is not playing a good third base. And I still cannot understand why they're trotting Ronnie Mauricio out there at third base and Brett Beatty out there at second. Why would you not switch things around? Especially because Mauricio was playing second base when he was called up initially in 2023. Why would you not just roll with that? I don't get it. I really don't get it. MJ, I appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate that a lot. Yeah, same exact thought as that I had before, yeah. Which I'm pretty sure you typed that. You probably typed that before I even got to the point, but it's like, yeah, you can't have the lineup change. Like, you can't put Lindor lead off and then move Vientos into the 2 hole. No. Quite frankly, I don't want to see Mark Vientos in the lineup, to be honest with you. Really do not want to see him in the lineup. And it's sad from, what happened last year. And, man, imagine this team if they had last year's Vientos right now. Just imagine where this team would be at. Oh, but they're in first place. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. You're going to comment that. I'm pre-arguing, I know. But either way, I'm going to wrap things up here. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe. Turn on your notifications so you know when I upload or go live here on Met Central. And I'll see you guys in the next one.